What's up, everybody? How we doing? All right, episode 1, the Pinnacle. Drew, you're here. How you doing, man? How's your day going?
I'm doing good.
I'm glad you could. I'm doing fantastic, man. I've been looking forward to this all week, honestly, since we've been talking about like we were gonna start this. I've been looking forward to it, so we're finally here. It's been highly anticipated. I got my notes right here. I got my research. Got the laptop booming on the side here. We're ready to get it cracking. Yes, sir. You know how we coming. So, Drew, you want to explain a little bit of the podcast? Since this is episode 1, it's a little more of a pilot type thing.
Episode 1 of the Pinnacle. So basically, what this podcast is we're going to be talking about the pinnacle, basically, of any topic. So pretty much the best of any topic, what makes things the best for this topic. So to give you an example, our first topic today is going to be video games. So we're going to be talking about, what are some of the best games of all time in our opinion, what made them the best games, why are some games so highly rated. So we're just going to be talking about some of our favorites, games we've played the most, games that are seen as the best just by, general audiences. But yeah, that's just going to be giving our own personal opinion on and our own takes on that.
Let's start with a brief history of you and me and our video game history. Drew, how long have you been playing video games, my dog?
Oh, man. A very long time. I think the first time I ever started playing video games was definitely on the PC.
Mm-hmm.
At a computer in our house, had no internet. And everything we played was on CDs. And the first games I actually played were like educational games.
Yeah.
And so I can't even remember all of them, but there was one that was like a Schoolhouse Rocks game. That was pretty fun. There was one game where I remember playing this one when I was really young, like first grade, maybe even kindergarten.
Mm-hmm.
And it basically had 26 levels, and all the levels were like basically each letter of the alphabet, and you learn about something new from each letter of the alphabet.
Mm-hmm.
So educational games is where I first started. But then I moved on to different games, and I would say for a long time my early childhood consisted of Age of Empires on the PC. And then eventually we got a Game Boy Advance, started playing Game Boy games.
Stepped up the game a little bit. Got some new tech.
Yeah, new tech. Pokemon, Wario World, a lot of those classics. And then eventually I got a PlayStation 1. This is when PlayStation 2 was already out. PlayStation 3 was almost out at this point.
Mm-hmm.
But it was my first gaming console. Played a ton of that. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater, Gran Turismo.
Classic.
Such good games.
Classic games right there.
And then our next game console we got was a Wii. And I played a ton of the Wii. Wii Sports, Super Smash Bros. Brawl, Super Mario Galaxy. And then eventually I moved up to the Xbox 360. And that's where, I really got into Call of Duty games. I played them at friends' houses, but, that's where I started playing a lot more.
Mm-hmm.
And then eventually made the transition to PC. And at this point, the world's my oyster. I'll play anything and everything.
And now that you're part of the PC Master Race, it like pretty much doesn't matter. You have access to all the games, baby.
Exactly.
So a little brief history about mine. I'd say one of the first games, I think my first gaming console that we had at the house was a Sega Genesis. And one of I think I played a Winnie the Pooh game, was like the first game that I actually remember ever playing. And I literally I didn't know how to read. So I would have to be like, Grandma or Mom or whoever was sitting by me, be like, can you read this game to me? And they low-key were like, we're tired of reading this game for you after a while. So they were like, either you got to learn to read or play a different game. So it was kind of a struggle for me at the start. So yeah, Crazy Taxi was another game that I played a lot of on the Sega Genesis. That was a good-ass game. And Tony Hawk Pro Skater, I know that one was on the Sega Genesis. Okay, so then after that, then I turned into the GameCube and PS1. So my first really big game that I loved to play on a PS1, I say was Crash Bandicoot. I can't remember the name of I don't know if it was Crash Bandicoot 1 or 2 or what the hell was it, but it was just a Crash game and I loved it. I was addicted to that game. I was playing that platform and a goobity ball. This is one of my favorite characters, one of the best voice lines of all time, honestly. One of my favorites. Okay, so then I started playing more games with my dad. So then we started playing more sports games together. So I'd say I was big into NHL was probably the biggest one for me. Especially on the GameCube, I knew how to cheese the system. So you would go down the side of the ice, then you hit it off the goalie, and then you get the rebound really quick and you snap that right back in. I remember one time I got 3 or 4 rebounds out the same shot, and I scored anyway. And my dad was like, "Bro, what is this game, man?" Like, I figured out how to cheese it, and I was literally like 6 or 7, and I was cheesing him every game. I knew how to beat the system. So yeah, and then my sister had like Pinkman, I think it was on the GameCube.
Pikmin,
Yeah. I remember watching her play that game. I was like, I got really sad watching her play that game because like I remember like one of the first times she played it, she killed all of her Pinkman, and she was laughing, and I was like, oh, I was so sad. I literally broke my fucking heart, man. Like I was so sad when that happened. I was like, I don't want to play video games, man. This shit's sad. So then after that, I got a PS2. And then my PS2 broke because I had the original one, like the fat one, right? And then I think it broke for some reason. I can't remember why, but it broke. And then I got the slim down one. And the slim down one, let me tell you, man, I locked so many hours on that PS2, bro. I was definitely a PS2 fanboy. I think Need for Speed Most Wanted, definitely a big game I played on the PS2.
Such a good game.
I know, I'm going to have to talk about that later. I have more stories about that. What was I going to say? I'm trying to think here. I played a lot of sports games too on the PS2, I guess. I'm trying to think about any other games that I played in the PS2 that were like super big for me. But I'd say that Red Dead was Red Dead on PS2? Red Dead 1?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah. I would say that's probably my favorite.
Was it on PS3?
I think it was PS.
I don't know.
All right, let me look this up real quick.
I've never beat it, so.
Okay, we'll look up Red Dead Redemption and look up.
Yeah.
While I'm talking about this, I can look.
Yeah, while you're talking about this, I got some comments on the sports games. Dude, those early sports games, you could really cheese. Like, there was almost always some little tactic that was just completely busted. I played Madden 2006 on the DS, and like, dude, there was like 2 running plays in that game that were completely broken. One of them was, I think it was the halfback sweep, and it went to the right. That play was like unbeatable. Like, you could literally have the other team doing a full blitz and you would still get like at least 15-20 yards, if not a touchdown. And then to the left, you do a halfback pass, and it was the same thing. Like, you could literally just run those 2 plays back and forth and go up and down the field. Like, it was too easy if you just use those plays. Like, it was so exploitive.
I deadass can't even imagine playing Madden on the DS though. Like, I feel like that would be such a trash.
Dude, when it's all you know, it feels great.
No, I
had
bet.
no issues with it because I'd never played Madden really on anything else. So.
Okay, I did look it up though. PS3, Xbox 360, Xbox One.
Okay.
Which is kind of surprising to me because I feel like it was a long time ago, but I didn't feel like it was. I played it on the Xbox though, but maybe I did. Maybe I'm just tripping. Okay, but so then I guess really the biggest game for me on PS2 probably would have been Need for Speed Most Wanted, besides like the sports games I was playing at the time. And then after that, that's when I got my Xbox 360, and that's when I started playing Call of Duty with the boys. That's when I I went to a public middle school at the time, so then I started playing with like more and more friends. Because like at the time, like before then, I was in my private Catholic school. I didn't play console games with friends. I was literally like only playing by myself. And like, I mean, I enjoy single player games even still to this day. But like once I got that multiplayer experience, I was like, damn, this is fun. I get to play with my friends from school and whatnot. It opened up like the world to me. And that's like when I really got exposed to the Xbox community and type shit. Like, yeah, that was for good days. Like Black Ops 1 was the first Black Ops first Call of Duty that I really played. And I still love that game. I still think it's one of the better ones. So yeah, Xbox 360. Yeah, I played the shit out of Red Dead. Trying to think about what other games I played on the 360 that I really like. A lot of Madden, a lot of 2K. But then I think, and then after that I transitioned to the PS4, and that's where I'm currently at right now for consoles. But I got my PC, I think I was a freshman in high school, and then ever since then I was addicted to my PC. Like, because I had a PC and the console, so like I play my sports games on the console, and any like single player games that like are exclusive to PS4. Like right now I just downloaded it because it's free or whatever. Because if you have PSN Plus, I downloaded whatchamacallit, Tomb Raider, and I haven't yet to try it, but I want to. Like those single player games, I just really enjoy. You know, so I still enjoy kicking back and playing those. So anyway, okay, that's just a brief little history. Drew, do you just want to get into it? Like, do we want to break this up into genres, or how we want to do this?
I'm thinking we want to do genres, and then just talk about like our overall games we've played like the most.
Yeah.
Because I think it's always hard to say like this is my favorite game, because that changes from time to time. And of
For
course, you
sure.
can have a historic favorite game, but I figure we start with going through genres,
Hmm.
and I figure we just start with one of the easier ones, which would be shooters.
Yep.
So, favorite first-person shooter, or it could be third person as well. And I would say for me, I think the most fun I ever had playing a shooter was Modern Warfare 3 on the Xbox 360. I mean, I can just remember like day after day, like getting home from school, getting on Xbox 360, cranking up MW3, playing with friends. And like that's still today my favorite Call of Duty. Even with Warzone, I love Warzone, but like just as a Call of Duty game, MW3 still has a special place in my heart.
Hmm.
Um, so I would say that one's given me the most enjoyment, but the one that I've played the most is definitely CS:GO. I mean, I've grinded like probably well over 2,000 hours on CS:GO between different accounts. So I would
Different
say
accounts for why, Drew?
well, one of them is a couple of them are Smurfs, but my main one has like 1,400 hours.
What did you peak at? If you don't mind me asking.
My highest rank ever was Legendary Eagle.
Mm.
So yeah, that's the equivalent for. I would say it's probably like Diamond 2, maybe Diamond 3, maybe Diamond 1
Hmm.
equivalent in League of
Yeah,
Legends.
yeah.
So
That's pretty decent though. What the hell?
yeah, I mean, I it was my main game for a long time. How about you? What's your
Okay.
favorite shooter?
I would probably have to say I don't know. CS:GO is also a good game. I think my favorite shooter though has got to be Black Ops 1. Like we were talking about that a little earlier ago. That's like my favorite one, just because it was the first one I played. Also though, going back to MW2, what you said, MW2 or MW3, excuse me, MW3 holds a special place in my heart because I have a lot of good memories with that. Like I still remember my first Moab. I was at my parents' house and I was in the basement. My dad was sitting next to me. I had the MP7 out. I was into it. I was like, I was not saying a word because I was getting close. I was like, I was into it and whatnot. And then all of a sudden I was like, Dad, I got this. And he was like, let's go. And then like right before the game ended, like literally right before the game ended, it was like a TDM match. And I was like, how did I get this in a TDM match? I don't know. But like, it
That's
was a
awesome.
rush. And
Yeah,
I think that rush is different than like the rushes that I got in Black Ops 1, which is why I think MW3 is a little bit different. But Black
uh-huh.
Ops 1 is still probably my favorite just because I felt like the guns were like most of the guns were pretty balanced. Like they were all strong in their own ways is what I think. Like you could use
I
the
agree.
Galil, you could use the AUG, you could use the
The
FAMAS,
Commando, the
Commando, AK,
AK-47.
like or you could just quickscope, which is what I did. My KDA was straight trash, but
Same.
because I mean, like quickscoping in Black Ops was straight dog, like compared to MW2 and I mean MW3 even too a little bit.
Yeah, quick scoping was really tough in that one. I would say MW2 probably had the best quick scoping in my experience, but MW3 is definitely a close second. Um, but yeah, no, I agree with the Moab thing. I actually never got a Moab on Xbox 360 MW3 outside of like special game modes like Infected.
Yeah.
But playing MW3 on PC, I played it like probably 2 years ago when I picked it up, and I actually got a Moab in I think it was a team deathmatch game using the MG36, that
There you go.
LG. So I finally got one after all these years, but I did, however, get a nuke on MW2. So I never owned MW2 because this is before I got an Xbox 360. When I got an Xbox 360, Black Ops 1 was the newest game, so I
Mhm.
picked up that, and everybody's playing that. But
I'm
my boy
gonna
Nick Mishke, um, I would go over to his house like pretty much every weekend and we'd play video games. And
shout
this
out
was
Nick
like
Mishke.
shout out to Nick Mishke. This was from like third grade until like up until high school. We do that like all the time. And so we would like trade off playing games on MW2. And I can still remember my loadout. I had an AK-47 with red dot. I think I had like scavenger, stopping power, and commando.
Oh my gosh, stopping power and commando, two like busted things in MW2 that
Yeah,
never were busted again after that.
true. I'm so glad that they removed stopping power from Call of Duties after that because it felt like in every Call of Duty before that you just like had to run it if
Yeah.
you wanted to win.
You were pretty much trolling if you didn't take it, is what you're saying.
Yeah, especially on snipers. Like you had to take it on snipers because otherwise you wouldn't one-shot
Yeah, you
people,
get
which
hit
is so
markers.
annoying. Yeah, but yeah, I mean I remember getting that nuke on a estate like I was like shaking. I was like,
Oh, you were on a state?
yeah, estate.
You like the map of state? I feel like I've been seeing some comments like on like Instagram or whatever. They're like, "This is the worst map of MW2."
I wouldn't say it was the worst map. I didn't love it, but there were definitely maps I liked less. I
Yeah.
think it was called Overgrown. Was that the one that was like pretty much just the grassy area with like the bunker in the middle?
I have to refresh my memory.
I wasn't a huge fan of that map. That was probably my least favorite. But yeah,
I don't.
remember.
Oh yeah, hold up. Let me see. I got an image of it here. 1 second. Yeah, it looks like it's like. Looks like it pretty much just like a farm essentially. Is what Overgrown looks like. Yeah, I wouldn't say that was my favorite map, but I don't think it was trash to be honest. Like, but also I never got a nuke in MW2. I'm gonna be honest. Like I went, the Black Ops 1 was my first Call of Duty, and then like after like I was starting to play with Nick and Drew and like all them. Like they all talked to me about how good MW2 was, so I was like, all right, well I might as well cop MW2. So I copped it. Or actually, I got a bundle. It was like MW2 and Modern Warfare, the original one, together, and I was like, okay, bet. So I got that, and I played a little bit of the first Modern Warfare, but I was like, I'm into MW2, but I never got a nuke. So, I mean, maybe I'm not a real Call of Duty gamer then. I don't know.
Trust me, you're still a real Call of Duty gamer. Honestly, I mean, a lot of people like never got nukes. I can't even believe I got one.
Mm-hmm.
But like I said, I never got a Moab in MW3 on the Xbox. So. Outside of Infected, but that's pretty easy.
Yeah.
Wasteland, it was the name of the map I was thinking of. I think
yeah.
was from another game.
I think Wasteland does sound familiar. That sounds way more familiar to me.
Yeah, okay. Those definitely my favorite.
I don't know if you played Tycoon games, because when I was growing up, I was big into Tycoon games. I think like at an early age, I saw my sister playing Roller Coaster Tycoon 2.
Same.
Yeah. And so like when she goes into it, it kind of made me get into it. And I always played like Roller Coaster Tycoon 3, I think it was. It was like the newer one, so it had like newer graphics, and like I was into it, man. I was into it. So that was definitely one of the games that I really liked to play when I was growing up. I don't know, I don't know how well Tycoon games sit with you.
I've played some Roller Coaster Tycoon 3, but Roller Coaster Tycoon 2, I put in a ton of time into it. I actually picked it up on Steam because it was like $2.50 one time on sale, and I actually put in quite a bit of time onto it. I played it, looks like last March was the last time I played it, but I got 21 hours on Steam, and I got probably 10 times that on the disc version. But dude, Roller Coaster Tycoon 2, such a good game. Tycoon 3 is also really good, but Tycoon 2 is just.
Tycoon 2 was so simplistic. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was simplistic, but yet it wasn't. You know, it was so like far advanced for its time as well.
Yeah. And you could run that on anything. You could run that on a toaster oven, and it would still work.
I'm just gonna look and see what year that got released here. Got released in 2002.
Wow.
So I mean, that game still holds up. You know, people still get nostalgia from it. I still see YouTube videos of people still talking about the game and like still like playing it.
You know, I might play it later today. We'll see. You know.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Also like in the same kind of realm as like Tycoon, but not Tycoon, more strategy. I love the Civilization games, and I think Civ 5. Now, okay, so I was telling this to Drew before we started this podcast, but I looked up the IGN top 100 games of all time, and Civ 5 wasn't on there, but Civ 6 was on there. I think it was in the top 50.
Really?
And I gotta be honest, I prefer Civ 5 to Civ 6. I think Civ 6 is fun. They got some good graphics. They made some great changes, but I still prefer Civ 5. I think it's like more like, I guess maybe it's more of nostalgia for me. I don't know. Would you have an opinion on that, Drew?
No, I hard agree with you on that. So I never played the Civ games growing up. I picked up Civ 5 in probably like 2016, I want to say.
Uh-huh.
And I had no idea what I was doing. The first time I played it for like 20 minutes and just quit. But then I watched a video of somebody playing it, and I was like, oh, like this makes sense now that I know like what I'm supposed to be doing. Because of course I didn't read the long list of tutorials.
No.
Or anything.
We're gamers here. We ain't doing no tutorial.
Exactly. Yeah.
What do you mean?
So I went back and I played it, and you know I have 76 hours on Civ 5 on my Steam account. I actually would have thought I had more than that, but Civ 6, I think I have like 4 hours played on it, and it's a good game. Don't get me wrong, but when Civ 5 is all I've known, like Civ 6 has a lot of changes, and it's a much different game, like you said.
It is.
And some people like the changes and some people don't. I much preferred Civ 5, just like in terms of, the things that you had to focus on. Even something like um, your builders, like, you can just automate your builders on
Yeah.
Civ 5, and that's great.
Yep.
Like, I can just focus on like my research, what I'm gonna build, my units, and yeah, I was never able to get into Civ 6.
I do think that probably would be my biggest grief with Civ 6 is the fact that your builders are limited in the number of builds. I mean, I know that there are a lot of like options that you can like build like buildings and like policy things that you can add to make them more like builds. But like I just think that that's kind of like, you're taking away like from like other things you can do when you're like trying to specialize in your builders, and I think that's kind of dumb, you know what I mean? So I mean, I do agree with you. I
Yeah,
think
I
like
agree.
the full builders, like the unlimited builds, like in Civ 5 was a lot better.
Hmm.
Um, but I mean, like I think Civ 6 introduced some interesting things, like with the religion. I mean, I don't know, like it's
For
kind of
sure.
it's interesting. It's just different ways to replay it. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
So it's got some interesting
Yeah.
aspects.
I do think what they did with the like religion and religious victories was really good in Civ 6, and I wish they had it in Civ 5. But yeah, I mean, overall, I just prefer Civ 5. I mean, I get why people would much prefer Civ 6, but
Hmm.
personally, it's not quite enough for me.
Yeah, so that's why I was saying I was kind of like a little bit surprised at the fact that they like IGN would rate that higher.
Yeah.
But like I guess like I'm assuming you haven't played the DLC, but I got the Gathering Storm one, which is like all about the
Hmm.
weather, and like it adds like the Special Congress or I think it's I think it's called Special Congress. I forget what it is. It adds some like even more elements to it, and that makes it like more interesting. So I don't know if they're considering all the DLC as well, or if it's just a
Hmm.
base game. But I don't know. I think the DLC makes it better, but I hate that you have to buy the DLC to get the like, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it adds more to the game, and like I just wish like if like they could have like worked it in more rather than like making people buy the DLC. Um,
Yeah. I can feel that.
Another game in the same simulation kind of realm here. I have The Sims 3 written down, and I don't know if that's controversial because I like The Sims 4, but I don't like the world. Like I feel like they took a step back in a certain way because Sims 3 like it was so much more of an open world. Like you could go places without having to like like fast travel or like have a loading screen. And I feel like that makes a difference when I'm trying to go somewhere. Like I'm sorry, this is so fucking stupid because we're talking about The Sims, Jesus Christ. But like when like you try to go somewhere and you get a loading screen, and it just turns me off. Like it slows down the gameplay. Like it's not as real. It's not as realistic. So I think like Sims 3, yeah, definitely elite, like in my opinion. But I think Sims 2 had better gameplay, which is like kind of a hot take. I feel like Sims 2 added like some really cool things, and then like Sims 3 was like the open world of Sims 3 was great, but I think Sims 4 took a step back, so I'm kind of interested to see. I don't know if you played much of The Sims or not.
I haven't played much. I've played a little bit of Sims 3. Like my sister had Sims 3 and like some of the extra expansion games that you could
Hmm.
buy, expansion discs. And so I played it a little bit, but I never really put a whole lot of time into it.
Yeah, yeah.
And I enjoyed it, but at the time where I was playing, CD disc games, it just wasn't on the top of my list, so I
Yeah,
didn't play it a whole lot. So
I
I,
get
I can't
that.
I can't really give a good perspective on that one.
My sister was one of the type of people where CDs were still big, obviously. So we would go to Best Buy and pick up the CD and come home and install that bitch. And I was like, "Ooh, I'm ready to play The Sims!" Like, and she was obviously on her laptop because I was still too young to have my own setup and
Mm,
whatnot. So I would have to wait for her to install it, and then she's like, "I'm gonna play it first," and I'm like, "What the hell?" So like, kind of had strung me along there.
yeah.
But yeah, so I definitely have some good memories with The Sims as well. I still
Hmm.
enjoy to play The Sims now. Even like I don't like The Sims 4 as much, I still enjoy playing it.
Yeah. Yeah. Still good games. On a slightly different type of simulation game, racing simulation.
Mm.
Favorite racing simulation. Now we talked a little bit about this one, but this one for me, there's a clear number one, and then I have just a lot of like good games. But for me, there's a clear number one, and no other racing game has ever really come close to what that game brought me. And as you can probably guess, that game was Need for Speed Most Wanted for the Xbox 360. I mean, everything from the cars they had in the game to like how good and like how cool you could make your cars look, like with like body kits, vinyls, paint jobs, rims, even like the music. the campaign was super fun. Like it was really cool working your way up the blacklist, like taking people down. The cops felt super good. Like the way that they had like cops like reinforcements, you could see how many you'd taken out, how many you'd evaded. They had the little I don't know, like triangle things that you could hit and like wreck all the police cars. They had the challenge series mode where you could like do the specific challenges where you had to get away from the cops in a certain amount of time or destroy a certain number of them. I mean, just overall, the game was so good. And while like strictly speaking, in terms of like how good the controls felt in terms of racing, it's not the best I've played. But like everything else in the game is number one for me. Like number one of the best game for like running away from cops, number one for storyline for me in racing, and number one in like car customization. So that's my clear number one. What's your thoughts?
I have to agree with Drew, to be honest with you. I didn't play it on the Xbox. I played it on the PS1, like I was talking about. The game came out in 2005, and I'm looking at the ratings. IGN gave it an 8.5, but then when I'm looking at like just overall users ratings, they give it a 4.9, and 97% of people liked this video game. So I think I still think it's like it's got to be the GOAT racing game for me at least. Like
Yeah.
And like backtracking a little bit, you talk about the sounds and then like the soundtrack. Dude, I found one of my old YouTube channels and like I was going through I had a music playlist and I found there's like 4 or 5 tracks that were just from that game. And I was like, damn, it brought me back, and I was listening to it. But I got a story to tell about Need for Speed Most Wanted. So I was back in like 2005, 2006 when I was playing it. I had like the little baby PS2 or PS. No, it was PS2. Yeah, PS2, right? Anyway, it was the mini one, and so like how like even still today, like when you like try to like save the game, it's like don't turn off your console or whatever, right? And so I had grinded, and if you've never played Need for Speed Most Wanted, it's like there was like 30 drivers that you had to beat, and like once you beat them, like you beat the game essentially. Like that was like the main storyline, was to defeat the racers in like the races. And it took you a long time because you couldn't just do like person to person to person to person. You had to do challenges in between. You had to like unlock the like ability to challenge them, right? And so it took a long ass time. And so I got down to like 8 or 9. And then I turned my game, I don't know why, I was a little dumbass, and I turned my game off like too quick while I was saving it. Corrupted the save file. I was like, I'm never playing this game again. I was so tilted.
No.
I never have, to this day, I still haven't beat the game. Oh shit, I just broke my chair. Alright, very nice. Okay, we just broke the handle on my chair. Alright, very nice. Alright, anyway. But yeah, so to this day, I still haven't beat this game. And it's like haunted me, because like that's like, I've corrupted 2 save files, and that's one of them. And the other one was also on my PS1, and I was about to hit the majors in this like MLB The Show game, and I was pissed off too. So I've been like, ever since those days, I'm like, don't turn it off, bro. Wait. Save it twice, if anything.
Yeah, I've actually never had a game that has had its save corrupted. But this is another racing game, and it was a game that I was playing with my neighbor. Growing up, I'd go over there all the time. He had the original Xbox, and at this point, I literally owned the PS1. And so I'd go over there. We played like Call of Duty 3 when that was the newest one. We played Need for Speed. We played Need for Speed Hot Pursuit 2, which, in my opinion, if you need a split-screen racing game, it's hands down the best split-screen racing game. Like, there's just so many fun game modes in that you can do, like run away from the cops, like be in the cops. It's so fun. And we had unlocked like almost every single car in the game, and the save file corrupted, and we had to start from scratch. And we never grinded it back. But
I feel like go ahead.
That was a good game.
I feel like whenever the save file gets corrupted, you're just like, all right, then I'm just time to move on to the next game. I don't want to run it back.
Yeah, it's such a punch to the gut. It's so hard to dedicate yourself to put in all that time, do the same thing
so
again.
Just curious, have you ever used the pedals and the wheel in a driving racing game?
Yeah, I have a couple times. You?
Yeah, I can't remember what game it was specifically. I don't know, but it was one of those where you could be the cop and like chase the people who were driving around. I was gonna ask you if you had if that was part of Most Wanted or if that was like a different game. Maybe it might have been Hot Pursuit as well.
They have it in a few games. Yeah, they have it in Hot Pursuit. They have it in Need for Speed Rivals. I mean, so I say Hot Pursuit because there's the original Need for Speed Hot Pursuit. Need for Speed Hot Pursuit 2, and then there's the remake, Need for Speed Hot Pursuit, which is nothing like the original Hot Pursuit. It's completely different. Just like there's also the Need for Speed Most Wanted. Maybe we should have clarified this. There's also a new Need for Speed Most Wanted.
Yeah, there is. This one in 2012 they got released.
And it's nothing like the original Need for Speed Most Wanted. But yeah, I mean, I think, you know, I know that they have different people who make the different Need for Speed games. And, you know, you can kind of tell that between the games, but I don't think they'll ever quite have what they had in the original Most Wanted.
Yeah. It's hard to replicate that.
Yeah, yeah. The game that has kind of come close for me, I started playing Need for Speed Heat recently, and I haven't beat it yet, so I can't give my full perspective. But I will say, so it was originally made for console and then ported to PC, and it's not a great PC port. You can notice, you know, it's just kind of like glitchy sometimes. So not a super smooth port, but I will say the racing feels pretty good. The graphics look great. You know, the music is pretty good. The campaign is okay. Racing from the Cops is pretty good. It's probably one of the better Race from the Cops type things that they've had in a while, but still not compared to Most Wanted. The vehicle customization, there's a lot you can do, but it's almost like there's too many things that you can change that it's hard to get something that just looks nice. Whereas I felt like Need for Speed Most Wanted, like there was a few things you could change, and there's a lot of like choices you had within those, and it made it nice and easy to like, you know, make a car look good without putting in too much crazy effort. But I will say Need for Speed Heat is a good game. It's probably one of the better Need for Speeds that they've released in the last like probably 8 or 9 years, to be honest.
So you think it's probably like the best game since Most Wanted then, you think, from the Need for Speed series?
Honestly, I would probably say that it is. I haven't played every single Need for Speed within there, but every one that has cops I have played. And, you know, there's definitely good ones in there. I played the remake of Most Wanted, and that was pretty good. I played a little bit of Need for Speed Rivals, and that was pretty good. But yeah, I would say Heat is probably the strongest one since the original Most Wanted.
Because I'm just thinking about like other car racing games or like street racing games, and there like haven't really been any good ones ever since Most Wanted, in my opinion, that I can like recall.
Yeah, I know like Forza Horizon and Forza Motorsports are supposed to be really good, but I haven't actually played a Forza game since Forza 3 for the Xbox 360.
I was gonna say the same thing. That was the game that I played, and that's not a street racing game. No. That's more of like around the track, you know.
Yeah, it's like the legal racing, and I think that's all the Forza games.
Yep. Forza was fun though. I thought Forza was a good time.
Yeah, and the driving, like it handles really well. Like Need for Speed, like it's really fun, but just in terms of like even just like the skill ceiling for racing, it's kind of limited. And like it doesn't feel like super smooth all the time. And that's one thing that other racing games definitely do better. Have you ever played Grid?
I've heard of it, but I haven't played it.
So there's Grid 2, and then, you know, just like classic racing games they like to do. They made Grid again. Really? And so there's Grid, which is Grid 1, Grid 2, and then there's Grid, which is like Grid 3, but it's just called Grid.
Yeah. I see that here.
And so the original Grid is another really good racing game. Like if you don't need cops, like it actually has a pretty good storyline, like pretty good progression, pretty fun, like a lot of cool cars, and the racing, like the way it handles and it feels on a controller, is probably the best that I've had in any racing game, in my opinion. So
what game did you or did you play? Can you recall the way you had the wheel? And do you think that makes a difference? Like, is that like a game changer for you? Like, I'm curious.
You know, it's not. It's definitely fun, but it's not a requirement for me. Like, if I want to sit down and play a racing game, it's not gonna change my decision whether or not I have the wheel or I'm just playing on a controller. Because I actually think racing games feel really good on a controller too. It's definitely like more fun doing it on a steering wheel.
Yeah, for sure.
I would never decide to play a game just because I had the steering wheel or something. So
yeah, because I was thinking about it. Like, you think like if it's a good racing game, it should be fine to play on either the controller or the wheel and the sticks. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely agree.
I remember the first time I got my sticks. I went to GameStop. I was fucking PS2, got the cheap ass used one, and I brought it home and I set it up, and I was so excited. I was whipping around and shit. Good times, good times.
Definitely.
Okay, let's change it up there a little bit. So,
Yeah.
what do you feel? How do you feel about like those story-driven games, like where it's not like more like based on the gameplay. It's more about like the dialogue. I'm talking about more about like Telltale games here, kind of like
hmm
esque. Like, what is your experiences around that? Do you have a favorite type of game like that?
I really like games with good story. I've only played one like strictly Telltale game, actually two, but I haven't finished either of them. I played the Walking Dead,
Yep.
but I didn't finish that one. And I played the most of The Wolf Among Us, which is another Telltale game,
Yep.
which I did like The Wolf Among Us. I wish I would have finished it, but um, I was like playing through it at one point, and then I got my gaming laptop, and I pretty much never went back and finished it on my old computer. Um, but I enjoy them, but games that are like more so strictly storytelling like that, I'm not a huge fan of.
Mm-hmm.
But I do love it when a game has a good story. Like even if the game itself isn't super fun, if it has a compelling story, like I'll play it and I'll really enjoy it. So that's my thoughts on that.
Yeah, I played The Walking Dead. I beat Walking Dead and I beat Wolf Among Us.
hmm
The Wolf Among Us, I felt like the ending left me wanting more than I got. I feel like
hmm
it left like a big like window of like opportunity at the very end to like make another game. They just never did. Either that or
hmm
maybe they went off with the DLC and I didn't play any of the DLC, so maybe they like continued in the DLC or something. But like I just felt like the ending wasn't. It didn't like finish the story. Like it left it open ended, and that pissed me off.
hmm
Um, but The Walking Dead though, I love that game. Like and the reason why I put it on my list is because if it makes me cry, I gotta talk about it. That's a good game. Like if the game literally makes me get emotional, I gotta talk about it. So that game was great, and like I mean, the ending of like the actual season 1 is what made me cry. I didn't personally play season 2. I watched season 2 on YouTube, but I played
hmm
through the season 1, and that made me like cry my eyes out at the end. My God, I don't know if you've ever even seen the end of it, but it's
I
low key
haven't.
hit me in the feels.
But no, games that make me feel something, like I love playing those games. I love games where I feel like my decision is hard to make. Like just going quickly, in terms of story games, like Skyrim, it has a lot of choices in like the story. Maybe not even a lot, but even games like Fallout. But I don't really struggle with like choosing one way or the other. But a game like Telltale games, sometimes I really struggle. I'm like, oh my gosh, like, what do I actually do here?
Right.
And another game like that, which is one of my favorite single player games of all time, is The Witcher 3. Like, The Witcher 3 does such a good job of having it. You actually have to choose between two difficult situations. Like, both sides have pros and cons, whereas other games where you kind of given the decision to choose between two things, but in reality, one of them is like, I'm either going to be a good guy or I'm just going to be the bad guy. And you can kind of choose like what you want your character to be. Whereas in The Witcher 3, it's like you're going to be seen as the good guy for these people if you make this choice, but the bad guy for these other people, or vice versa if you make the other choice. Like there's no clear like good guy bad guy choices. Like what do you really think is the right thing to do here? Like this isn't really a spoiler, but one example is there was this other Witcher who got hired to kill this monster that was tormenting this village. And Witchers like they only work for money, and so he said, I'll do it for this amount of money. And he did it. And then after he was done, the villagers basically tried to ambush him and kill him because they didn't actually have the money to pay him. And so he basically killed everybody in the village, like besides the kids, like killed all the adults. And I went out and I talked to him. I'm like, I'm a Witcher too, and I'm like, man, like when I first found out that this Witcher had killed the whole village, I didn't know the story. I was like, I'm gonna kill this guy, like no matter what. I'm like, I don't care what he says,
Uh
I'm just gonna kill him. But then
huh.
when you hear his story, and it's like, dang, it's like he did what he asked. He had a job to do, he did it, and they came back and they tried to kill him,
hmm
and so he killed them in response. And it's like, did he go over the top with like killing all the adults? Yeah, but I'm like, is it really my job to kill this guy? Like, and I thought, I'd probably be pissed off too if, they tried to kill me.
Yeah.
So I literally sat for probably like 2 minutes deciding whether or not to kill him or not. And at the end of the day, I let him live. I was like, this guy's a scumbag, but I can't bring it to kill him. So.
Would you say The Witcher is in your top 10?
For sure. It's probably my number 2 single player game of all time.
Interesting.
Say.
I was struggling with that one because I've played maybe like a few hours. I would say probably like 4 or 5 hours of that game. So I really haven't like delved deep into it. But the little bit that I did, I was really into it. And like I don't really like grindy RPG type of games, so I just get really bored with it really quickly. But
it's
that game
definitely slower paced.
That game like caught me though pretty quick, and like I was into it while I was like those the time that I was playing that, I was like into it. But so like I said, I was thinking about it. I was like, is this gonna make my top 10? And I looked at IGN right now, and it says that they put that one at 28 of best games of all time, and that's why I was really thinking about it. I was like, does this make my top 10? And I don't know if it does, to be honest. I haven't played enough of it, to be honest. So.
It's definitely a long game. I actually haven't even beaten it yet. And I have 57.6 hours into the game, and I haven't beaten it.
Goodness gracious.
And yeah, so like it's a long game. There's a lot to do, and there's 2 DLC, which apparently are super good. And so I'm looking forward to playing those at some point. But yeah, I mean, just like the decision making, and outside of like that and the story, I think the gameplay feels really good. Like I love Skyrim as a game, but the combat is not very interesting. It's pretty much you swinging until you kill them. Sure, you can do stealth or spells, but The Witcher, I feel like it's a lot more about mechanics. It's not so much like Dark Souls, where like mechanics is everything. Like it's a much easier learning curve, which I enjoy. So.
Yeah, I agree. I feel it's a little bit more forgiving, than the Dark Souls. Oh shit!
Dark Souls is not forgiving at all.
No, it is not. I'll turn on my lights here. 1 second.
All right.
I told I was looking a little dark in here. Okay, this is a random one that I have written down. I don't know if you've ever played this game, but I was addicted to this game because my parents wouldn't let me play GTA when I was a kid. So I had to play the Simpsons Hit and Run, and that was essentially GTA for the Simpsons, baby. I don't know,
That's a good game. I never owned it, but one of my friends owned it, and I played it at his house.
Let me tell you, I literally played the shit out of that game. I would just go to be every character, just drive around, get the cars, like have little stories. Like I was still young, and like I said, I didn't play GTA. I couldn't play any like big free there wasn't that many free roaming games like that. So I was like, dude, this Simpsons, this is dope, and so I was like really into it. So I had to mention that because that's definitely like I had so many hours logged on that. Like it was probably my most played game on the PS. That was the PS1. Excuse me. I forgot to mention that earlier. But yeah, that was probably my most played game on a PS1. What up, Brett? How we doing, man? Mr. Burbank is here. Good to have you, Brett. Yeah, Simpsons Hit and Run. Ooh, classic. Did you have any like type of games like that? Like were they like open world kind of like that you like?
I'm trying to think of the first like open world games I played. Okay. I mean, this isn't anything like Simpsons Hit and Run or GTA, but the first, I guess, open world game I played probably is it's probably my second favorite Lego game of all time. Lego Island 2. I don't know if you ever heard it or played it.
I never even heard of it, bro. I played like Lego Star Wars, and that was like my favorite, but I never played any like those Lego games.
That's probably my favorite, but dude, Lego Island 2, such a good game. I played that so much. So much fun.
That sounds dope. I've never even heard of that game. Lego Island 2.
This is a much smaller category for me because I haven't played a whole lot of games. And speaking of this, we need to get back and play a certain game. But favorite horror game?
I would probably say it's a toss-up. I have a lot of good memories with Slender. That game is like... I mean, because you and me have played that game. You and me and Nick have played that game. I played that game with my friends, like on a mouse and keyboard. But for overall best gaming experience, I probably would have to say Outlast 1. Outlast 1 is probably one of the scarier games that I've played. That just puts you in that environment. And then like the whole batteries thing made me like super anxious. Like I'm like trying to conserve my battery life because you don't know when you're going to pick up the next one. So that one I think probably would be my favorite horror game of all time. But like I think there's like a lot of potential like in the industry like going forward. Like we're talking because we're referencing Phasmophobia, and the experiences we've had with Phasmophobia so far have not been the greatest. But
know.
but I'm hopeful that like more games like that are coming on the horizon because like that's more of a multiplayer game, you know. And so like as like the internet keeps going and more like games keep coming out, hopefully like we continue to see some more development of horror games because that's like one like genre that like hasn't really gotten a lot of attention. I feel like from like big like AAA studios, and maybe like there's potential for that in the future.
I agree. I think Outlast 1 is a really good game. Definitely the scariest in terms of jump scares that I've played. Like some of the jump scares in that game, I can still remember them.
Yeah.
I specifically remember there was this one where there was this guy who was like kind of collapsed, like it looked like he was dead in a wheelchair.
Yep.
And I'm sure you already know what I'm talking
I literally know exactly which one you're talking about too. It's like right at the it's like the
so
first
obvious.
mission.
Yeah, it was so obvious that he was gonna jump out at you. I'm like, it's so obvious. And I walked by him, waiting for it to happen, and it didn't happen.
And then it gets you on the way back.
Exactly. I was like, really? I was like, it seemed like a so set up that they were gonna do this. And then on the way back, when my guard was down, they got me good.
They got you with your pants down, Drew.
They got me. So definitely great jump scares. Pretty good story, like really cool atmosphere.
Yeah.
But as far as my favorite horror game, for me, it's definitively Amnesia: The Dark Descent.
I knew you were gonna say that. I could have guessed that for you, bro.
I've talked a lot about this game before, and like the graphics aren't like spectacular, like the monsters aren't like the creepiest thing in the world. But for me, it's the atmosphere of the game because a lot of horror games, you know, you go a couple minutes and you'll have a jump scare. Amnesia, you might go like 30, 40 minutes before something is scary, and it really doesn't rely on jump scares. It relies a lot more on like atmosphere, which is something that I like in horror games. And so, like, just playing that game, and also the story is easily the best story I've played in any horror game. Like, it's just super fun, like, learning about, you know, who you are, like, figuring out, you know, why you're in this castle and what's going on. So, definitely really like that game.
That's the best thing I feel like, and that's like the hardest part for horror games is to try to find the medium between atmosphere and jump scares because like I feel like most of them nowadays, especially like the indie ones, they focus way more and they miss the atmosphere part. It's mostly just like the jump scare, like loudness equals scariness type shit, you know, and it's like it's not like that. It's not like that. And that's what made Amnesia great is that like it was scary and like it didn't have the jump scares all the time, but like there were elements of the game that made that scary, like the oil and the lantern. Like again, like it's like the batteries, but like I felt like the oil was way more rare than the batteries. Like you're literally conserving that. You can't see anything what you're doing sometimes.
Yeah, that was tough.
But yeah, I think and Slender is also a good one too because like that's just like a classic one for me. One of my favorite memories from like that's probably my favorite memory from a horror game was I was playing so I was on the mouse. And my friend was on the keyboard because that's like how we would do it, play horror games, right? And so I was over at my friend's house, and Slender was like behind us, right? And so I actually had my phone. It was like a selfie video, and this was back in the day. So we were just recording the selfie video, no camera on the game footage or anything. You know, we're not that technical back in the day. And so you know, we're playing this, and then like all of a sudden he jumps around, and I was like, we got so scared. I was like, ah! And I like put the mouse up. I like pointed the mouse up in the sky, and then I like ran away. Because I was like scared. So like I was like, oh god, he's gone. And then we both sat down, and then I looked like, you know, level with the camera, and then it was just his face. And I was like, ah! And I just took off, bro. It literally was like one of the funniest videos. Like his mom, they were like, ah! They started screaming, and then they were laughing at us because we were so scared. Oh god, it was just like, that was like one of my favorite memories from any horror like jump scare ever. So many memories with Slender, though. I mean, I've never beat it. Have you even gotten close, Drew?
No. I think I've got, like, how many pages did you need? Like
7. I think it's 7.
I think I've gotten 3, and that's my record.
I mean, the thing is, I feel like a lot of times I just end up getting lost. Like, if I took the time to actually memorize the map and the locations, I probably would have found it. I think I've had like 4 or 5 maybe at the most.
And honestly, it's not a game where you need to beat it in order to have fun.
No, for sure.
It's like, I mean, I think that's kind of the case with all horror games, but Slenderman especially, since it's like, sure, once you beat it, what are you gonna do? You're just gonna play it again. So
it's really not meant to be beat, to be honest.
Yeah.
You know, it's like it's definitely like you're just supposed to hop in, get a quick jump scare, and then either play it again or get the fuck out. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure.
Okay, let's go to some creative games. I'm gonna call this creative genre. Now, when I talk about creativity, I'm talking about Minecraft. That's what I'm talking about. Minecraft has to have like its own category because I feel like it changed the game. Like Minecraft and Terraria are the two games that like I think about when I think of creative games, right? And I think me personally, I mean I played Terraria a little bit and Terraria has some really cool stuff in it. I'm definitely a Minecraft fan hands down though. I prefer Minecraft to Terraria.
Yeah, I'm with you there, and I love both games. I've beaten Terraria. I haven't beaten Terraria since the newest update that came out like last year, but I've beaten it twice in the past. And Terraria, it's a super fun game. I think Terraria is a much better game with friends. Terraria by yourself is, for me personally, not nearly as fun. Whereas I can play Minecraft if I got like mod packs, even no mod packs, I can play that game by myself for like hours on end and not get
Right.
bored. But I really love just like the 3D aspect of Minecraft. I mean, Minecraft is one of the few games where I'm actually a hipster, where I got to it before it was cool. And so I'll wear that badge proudly because I started playing Minecraft in 6th grade. And I can remember on the website, I think I paid like $11 for it. And on the website, it had like how many copies had been sold. And it was something like 10,000 something copies. And so, like, literally nobody even knew what Minecraft was besides me and my one friend at school who had told me about it. And so,
Chat,
yeah,
let's just take a second and recognize Drew for being a video game pioneer like he's been. Let's just take a second and just appreciate it. Thank you, Drew, for all your hard work for the gaming community.
you know, thanks. I appreciate this. And, first of all, I'd like to thank the Academy. But honestly, like, and I remember playing this game a lot. And I'm like, and then they released, like, multiplayer for it. And we had to jump through like so many hoops in order to like figure out how to play multiplayer because like neither of us could support starting a server, so we had to use Hamachi. But like the first time we ever played multiplayer on that game was like it was like mind blowing for me. And I just remember like every single time they'd come out with an update, I'd like log on to Minecraft, update my game, like see what was new. And I can still remember on Halloween, I don't know what year, they came out with the Nether, and when they came out with that. Dude, I grinded for hours and hours and hours for
the same day. Like that same day, like when they came out with it, you like just grind like right away, or like you like hit you and then you started grinding.
As soon as the update came out and I saw that you could go to the Nether, I was like, "Whoa,
I'm in it."
Gotta get there." But I didn't have any diamond, so I grinded for hours looking for diamond.
Wow.
And I finally found it, mined that obsidian, and went there. Died right away, but dude, it was so fun. I mean,
Is that worth?
Minecraft is probably, I honestly think it is probably the game I put the most amount of hours into, just because I've played it so much throughout the years, like different mod packs, played it with friends on different servers. I would say I've probably put more time into that than any other game. I would say the only ones that even come close are League of Legends and CS:GO.
Yep.
But I actually think I've played more Minecraft than any other game.
Minecraft is just so one of those games where you just get into it and then you can just lose track of time. Like you're like, oh, I'm gonna go do one thing, and then just one thing turns into like, oh, I have to do this first, or I have to do this right after, and then like it just turns into like this whole long thing, and then you look at the clock and it's 5 o'clock in the morning and the sun's coming up, bro. You gotta go to bed. You know what I'm saying? That should be happening to me way too much.
Yeah, and I mean like the thing I love about Minecraft, and this is same thing with Terraria, is you have complete freedom for what you want to do. Like there's no guidance when you start the game. Like you can do whatever you want. You can go anywhere. And especially in Minecraft when you have mod packs, you kind of need that freedom because there's like so much to do.
Right.
And I think, the reasons, and also like just the modding community for Minecraft is, I would say, easily the most robust of any game. And being an entirely Java-based game, it allows for that. But there's a reason Minecraft is the most sold video game of all time.
And IGN only rated it number 24.
What was that?
IGN only rated it number 24.
Yeah.
I think that's cap.
Yeah, it's so. I was going to talk about this a little bit later, but I think this is a decent time to jump into it. Like in terms, I was trying to think of what do I think is, like in general, the most successful video game of all time.
Yeah.
Like not as most popular, not most highly rated, the most successful video game of all time.
Yeah.
And for me, only two come to mind. Well, one of them sort of, but the other one isn't an individual game. But for me, Minecraft for me is probably number one. I mean, it's hard to argue against it. It has 200 million copies that have been sold, and the next closest is my number two actually, which is GTA 5 at 140 million copies.
They rated that
And
one really high. I think that was number 11 on IGN's.
yeah, I love GTA. I loved the single player storyline. The multiplayer also super fun. A lot of people really love GTA 4 because it was usually their first GTA for a lot of people, and it's a great game. Don't get me wrong. Like, I would say the characters you could maybe even say are like more interesting, more fun in GTA 4, but just the entire game as itself for GTA 5, like it's hard to argue with that being one of the best games of all time, most successful in terms of just what it brought to the gaming community.
It's so true, but like I feel like Rockstar has been relying on that for too long, man. We're waiting for GTA 6, bro. I need that GTA 6. What were you about to say?
I said, yeah, they've been milking GTA 5 since it came out in 2013. So
For real, but I mean, like, it's such a good game, and they had they did such a good job on it that they've just been able to add to it. But like, come on, man, stop holding out on me.
yeah, I know. I think it was at last year's. I don't know if it was E3 or one of the other gaming conventions. They announced that GTA 6 is in progress, but I could be wrong about this, but I think they said they don't expect it to be released on this next gen console. So like the PS5, like it won't come out for the PS5. It'll be like the PS6
Damn!
or whatever like the next Xbox is.
Goodness
Xbox Series X,
gracious!
is that the newest one?
Yeah, Xbox Series X is the one that just released.
Yeah. So they said it will not be ready for these next gen
Wow,
consoles.
that's kind of crazy.
Yeah. It's not definitive, and someone can correct me if I'm wrong on that, but I think that's what they said.
I mean, like hearing that though makes me interested and like excited though, because like what kind of tech are they working on that they wouldn't be able to release it on these kind of consoles? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because like the capabilities of the PS5 are like leaps and bounds ahead of the PS4. So like what kind of tech that they have planned, or like that? I don't know if it's just like they just push the release back to until the next console, if they're like waiting for the tech to get released, or like what.
I don't think it's a technological barrier with these new consoles. I think it's just the development period that it's going to take.
Yeah.
Because like they're still in the preliminary work.
Mm-hmm.
And like for GTA 5, the preliminary work, I'm looking at this article, said started in 2008.
Oh wow.
And full development didn't start until 3 years before its release. And so, from 2008 to 2010, they were basically just doing preliminary work. So this game was really in its like development phase for 5 years, and then like straight development for 3 years. But yeah, I mean, we'll see.
I wanted to talk a little bit about GTA 5 because it made me like realize something about myself, because like at this time, like I was playing those single player games, like Telltale games where you had to make decisions, and like if somebody died, I had to live with it, right? So like, but when I played GTA 5 the first time on my Xbox 360, I decided like, okay, this is a spoiler. All right, spoilers for everybody.
If you haven't beaten the game by now, then you deserve.
Yeah, for real. If you don't even know what happens, Okay, but the last mission, you got to choose to kill somebody. And I chose to kill Trevor because Trevor is my least favorite character. I'm going to go out right and say, I don't know if that's controversial or not. Trevor is my least favorite character. So I was like, all right, well, I'm not going to lose Michael. So Trevor's gone. And so I killed Trevor. And then I went back and I realized that you could save Trevor. So, and like I couldn't just replay the mission. I had to play the whole ass game again and do it. And you know what? I did it because I felt guilty. I literally couldn't like live with myself the fact that I could have saved him and I didn't. So I had to go back. I had to play it. And like ever since then, like I realized that like I'm the type of person that if somebody dies in the game, I have to go back and save him. Like the game, I forget what it's called now, but it was like a story-based game on the PS4. It was like about being trapped in a cabin in the woods. And then like there was like I'm gonna get pissed off about it because now I can't remember. But essentially, like at the very throughout the story, there's like 10 characters and they like slowly die off. But like I literally had to go back and like look up the cheats about how to make sure everybody lived
Until dawn.
Yep, Until Dawn. Yeah. So I love that game. I played it legit the first time, and like 2 people survived, and I was like, all right, I can't live with myself. What the fuck? Like, so then I had to go back, and I was sick one day from school, so I had a whole day just to play it. I literally just like looked up my phone how to make sure everybody survived, and I was like, all right, now I'm satisfied. I can like put this game and never touch it again, and like not feel bad about myself.
Nice.
Goodness.
Speaking of having games make us feel bad, have you ever played Spec Ops the Line?
I have not. Look this up.
It's like a third-person shooter.
I've heard of Spec Ops, like the game.
Yeah, it's Spec Ops the Line is it does have multiplayer, but I don't know anyone who actually plays the game for its multiplayer. But this game has made me feel more guilty about what I was doing in the game than any other game I've ever played. Like it sounds almost facetious because you hear this in like a lot of like movie reviews or game reviews where it's like, oh, it really shows you the horrors of war for like different like shooters in their campaigns. But this game like genuinely shows you the horrors of war and like actually shows you that, hey, you're not always gonna be the good guy if you want to live. Like if you want to live, sometimes you got to make decisions that are, you know, morally pretty questionable.
Tough choices you have to make.
And the ending of the game, it literally gives you a chance to either just let yourself die or let yourself be rescued, which seems like dumb. It's like, obviously I'm gonna let myself be rescued. I don't want to die.
Yeah, right.
But like at the end of the game, if you like play through all the way, like I literally felt so guilty about all the stuff I'd done in the game, and I was like I don't feel like I even deserve to live.
Damn.
And it's like I actually felt like that in the game, that I was like,
damn,
does my character even like deserve to live? Like, do I deserve to get rescued after all the stuff I did to like get out alive? But then I'm like, you know, it's like I did all that stuff and it was either for nothing or to stay alive, and I decided to let myself get rescued. But that game, if you want to play a game that's gonna play with your feelings and your emotions, play that game, because
that does not sound like the game for me, bro. I'd have to play it twice, and then like I would always be thinking about the decisions that I didn't make, and I'd be like, oh god, why did I do that? Well, I gotta go back and do it again, you know?
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, though, it's like there's not always. It's kind of like The Witcher, where there's not always like a right and wrong decision.
Right.
Where like you're either making the good choice or the bad choice. Like they're both bad, and which one can you live with more?
Right.
So.
Goodness gracious. Let's talk about Trouble in Terrorist Town.
You mean Gary's mod?
Yes, sir. But I mean, nobody played Gary's mod. Everybody played Trouble in Terrorist Town mostly.
Dude, get out of here! I played a ton of Gary's mod.
I'm giving it crap because I didn't play that much Gary's mod. I only really played TTT.
Let me take a look at my total hours.
I would love. Okay, side note while you're doing that, I would love to know the total amount of servers you have been banned from in TTT, Drew. Versus like the percentage amount of like that we're at like a peak. You know what I'm saying?
It's probably triple-digit servers that I've been banned from on Gary's mod. For TTT specifically.
That game was just too easy to just RDM in.
It was so fun.
It was so fun.
Also fun to play legit, but you know, any 24/7 Minecraft server for TTT I'd get banned from because I hated the Minecraft maps.
The Minecraft maps were terrible.
There was so many 24/7 Minecraft maps, and like there was some Minecraft maps that were like manageable, but like a lot of them were just bad, and people just love playing on them, and I didn't. So I'm like, might as well just get banned from them. So, but yeah, between my two accounts, I have over 1,500 hours on Gary's mod. This was probably the game that I started binging on after Minecraft. I played pretty much only Minecraft on PC from like 6th grade through 8th grade, and then 8th grade I picked up Gary's mod with the same friend that had told me about Minecraft, and I basically just played a ton of Gary's mod. I played a lot of TTT, but they also have super fun other game modes, like even just something like Dark RP. Like I had a ton of fun.
Oh yeah, I completely forgot about that. Holy shit! I was just gonna say, like, could you mention some of the game modes again? Because that's been a long time since I played Gary's mod. But Dark RP was a good time. RP was a good time.
And like, there's like zombie RP servers as well, where like it was basically a zombie apocalypse and you had to survive, and like build barricades, and like you could kill zombies and make money, buy better guns. Like there was like a mode called Stranded, which was basically like a progression system where like you literally had skills that you leveled up, like wood cutting, farming, harvest, mining, and you could like build better tools, and you use the tools you made and then like smelt the resources. It was like Minecraft almost, to like you basically had that progression system of like your tools. And then eventually, if you got your skills high enough, you could make weapons, and then you could go and raid like other people on the map, and like you could basically set them back like an hour's worth of work.
This sounds like Rust.
I kind of, yeah, it was kind of Rust before Rust came out.
That's what I was gonna say. Like, I feel like some of these games are just like, some games like Minecraft, Gary's Mod. Like, they're so iconic that games have like taken elements from them and like incorporated them and made new games. And that's like you got to give credit where credit's due. Like games that do that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
I haven't played Rust at all, to be honest with you.
I've played like an hour of Rust, and that's it.
I know that everybody's about going crazy for it right now since they updated everything.
Yeah.
But I haven't really gotten into it. There's only one other game I have on my list, and that's Wii Sports. And we briefly mentioned it, but goddamn, Wii Sports gotta be one of the goats, bro. It's gotta be one of the goats. Don't even try to tell me the bowling is not like goat status.
Dude, Wii Sports is number one, uncontested.
For Wii games, for me, it's number one.
Honestly, I mean, there's such great party games. Like if you're just like hanging out with friends and you're just like in the living room, and you got a couple people playing Wii Sports, and people just like jumping in and like hanging out, like it's great. It's great to just like have it sitting there in the living room and people are hanging out, like because it's so easy just to jump in for a game, hop out, and it's so fun to watch people play as well. So Wii Sports, it's a great game. It was the first gaming console where they had like really like movement was the main control. So.
And they did so well with it too. Like it was the game that came with the Wii, and like they just nailed it perfectly. Like all the games were fun in my opinion. Like some were better than others. Like, and I always love it. You've seen those videos of the tennis, those like where they just go, and just hit it like back and forth like a bunch. Those are always great. So I had to mention that. But Wii Sports Resort was also a banger too.
True, that was a really good one.
I loved Wii Sports Resort. I was
that one had fencing, right?
I was a beast at the fencing. I was just about to say, bro. I was a beast with that. I'd be like, bop, bop, bop. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Nobody could fuck with me when I was on the fencing.
Favorite one to do on that game.
The boxing one was fun too. That was in Wii Sports, just the first one. The boxing was fun. I remember that. I remember I've seen like so many people like trying to like beat the top one, like challenge videos.
It was that like getting like you could get like pro status on all the sports. Boxing was the only one I never got pro on because it was so hard.
Yeah, I remember, like I said, like I've seen like mostly like YouTube videos like as of late where people were coming up where they were playing that, and I was like, dude, like kind of brought me back. I'm like, Jesus, it was way more difficult like on the boxing one than any of the other ones.
Yeah, just quickly retouching on when we were talking about most successful games of all time, I would still say Minecraft, GTA up there. I would say honorable mention, Skyrim. And
yeah. I think so.
This one, it's not a series, but like it's hard to compare anything to its longevity at this point. Pokemon.
Okay, thank you for bringing that up because I never played Pokemon as a kid, and I felt like I missed out on a whole lot. You know what I mean? My first taste of Pokemon was when we were in high school, and I downloaded an emulator on my phone. I played Pokemon Green for a little bit. So that was my only taste of Pokemon ever. And then a little bit of Pokemon Go, but I wasn't really into that. They put Pokemon Go at 100 on the top 100 games of all time. So
I mean, Pokemon Go it's almost like a Minecraft or like a Wii Sports for me. Like it created kind of a new genre of games. Like there were other games before Pokemon Go where like you had to go to different places in the world to do stuff. But Pokemon Go really set the standard, I feel like, for games like that.
I feel like they did change the game,
Yeah, they did. And I had so much fun that first summer after Pokemon Go came out. Like, we just go to, like, downtown Minneapolis at, like, like one in the morning, just like walking down the street playing Pokemon Go, and there's just people everywhere playing Pokemon Go. So
when that was the
definitely a magical
craze, that
time.
was one of the funniest things ever. Was just to see people just walking around, staring at their phones, playing Pokemon Go. You'd be like, "Oh, look at that motherfucker! He's on Pokemon Go. I know he is." Like sitting there with his head down, walking down the street, can't see shit, gonna run into a light post or something if you're not careful.
Yep.
So talking about most successful games, like franchises, I have one that hasn't been mentioned is Call of Duty. Like that is one of my opinion, one of the most successful franchises. Like the games may not be all bangers, you know what I'm saying, but they've been able to keep up the longevity and like there's been consistency, you know what I'm saying. But like what you're gonna get when you get a Call of Duty game. You're gonna get run and gun shooters, and it's been consistently good, you know.
I will say, they lost where they were going for a little bit when it comes to Call of Duty Ghosts.
Yep.
That was the last Call of Duty I ever bought until the new Modern Warfare.
Mm-hmm.
And Call of Duty Ghosts, for me, I actually loved the campaign. I thought the story was really good. They left you with a cliffhanger, which I thought was great, but then they never resolved it in like a Call of Duty Ghosts 2, which I think they might have done because the multiplayer was easily the worst Call of Duty multiplayer I'd played in any game.
Really?
Like, the weapons didn't really feel that good, and then the perk system was abysmal. Like, if you wanted, like, you had, like, perk points that you could spend. You had, like, I think, like, 8 perk points, and different perks took different amount of points. And if you wanted sleight of hand, it was, like, 5 points, and so you could really only get, like, one other perk if you wanted sleight of hand, or you could get, like,
dumb.
4 really bad perks for, like, 2 points.
That is really dumb.
Yeah, it was like terrible. And they had a specialist bonus, but the specialist bonus was like the kills were equivalent to points. So if you wanted specialist bonus like sleight of hand, you had to get 5 kills for that. And then if you wanted like a 3-point perk, you had to get another 3 kills. And then there was no like specialist bonus where like after you got all of them, you got all the perks. And there's no pro perks, and just like every single perk in the game felt underwhelming.
Yeah.
And so easily the worst game. And then there was Advanced Warfare and Infinite Warfare, which I also think fell short. Because
those ones I never heard good things about.
Yeah, they were like too like futuristic, and like some of them you could go invisible and like jump off the walls.
Yeah.
And it was too Titanfall-esque. It wasn't enough Call of Duty. But
I think you said it great, like you said earlier. Like it just lost its like mark. It wasn't like the traditional Call of Duty type shit that we had been used to at recent, like in like the past.
For sure. But outside of that, I completely agree. I mean, they got bangers after bangers. I mean, Call of Duty 3, Modern Warfare 1, World at War, MW2, Black Ops 1, MW3, Black Ops 2. Like, that whole streak right there. There's not a single bad game in there. Like, some of them are much better than others, I'll admit. But every single one of those games is great. I had a ton of fun playing it. And then, I never really played much Black Ops 3, so I can't speak to that one too much. But, I think with the new Modern Warfare, and you can probably speak to Cold War a little more than I can, but I think with the new Modern Warfare, they really found their roots again, and I think they did a really good job with the game.
I actually really like the new Cold War. I feel like I low-key think it's better than the Modern Warfare multiplayer, because I feel like multiplayer in Modern Warfare, you just got smoked really fast. And, like, I mean, you still get smoked pretty quick, but, like, I feel like it's a little bit more balanced a little bit. The maps, the maps aren't really all that great either, though. I mean, so it's got its balances,
Yeah.
I was just gonna say, I was just off the top of my head, what is your favorite battle royale game?
I would say for sure probably Warzone at this point. I've put a lot of hours into PUBG. Let me see. I think I have like maybe like 300 something hours in PUBG. I want to say 342 hours in PUBG. So I put a lot of time into that one when that first came out. I mean, that was pretty much the only game I played for like 9 months, and then I got burned out on it and almost haven't touched it since. But I would say now, I mean, I think Warzone is just by far the best. There was Blackout with Black Ops 3, and I think they did some things right, but I think Warzone, for me, is there's nothing even close. I'm not a big Fortnite player, so.
Yeah, I saw that. Let me look it up. I think Fortnite was like 20-some on like the best games of all time. and I was like, what? Okay, is that 77? Um,
Okay.
and I played Fortnite for like the first 2 seasons, and then like it just got too wild for me. And I don't enjoy the building aspect. It was too arcadey for me. And so I was in the struggle like when battle royales were taking off. Like you had the Fortnite and you had PUBG, and PUBG was more realistic, but it was too clunky for me. Like the game wasn't optimized very well. It wasn't as smooth as I was hoping. So then when Warzone came out, I was like, this is perfect because it's like just enough arcadey, and it's fast, it's smooth. It's Call of Duty, so you got the customizing guns. It's running gun, you know what I mean? Like I just can't. You couldn't convince me otherwise. That it's my favorite game for sure for battle royales. I think other ones had potential, but they just like fell short, and I just don't like Fortnite that much. And they've changed that game so much compared to like what their original seasons were like. So I don't even know. Like their player base is probably different now.
Yeah, and I'm the same way. I don't like the building aspect of Fortnite. Like when I play a shooter, I want it to be more about like strategy and aim. Whereas Fortnite, obviously, that's still important, but the building aspect is like super important. Like if you're really good at building, like that's crucial. And if you can't build, you just can't compare no matter how good you are at aim or how smart you are. Like you're just not going to be able to match up against people who are great at building. So yeah, I'm with you on that. I mean, I don't think any game has really come close to Warzone, but I agree with the PUBG point. Bro, I literally played that game. Like there was countless times per game where I'd drop below like 30 frames, then I'd finally get back up to like 40 FPS,
Yeah.
and that would be like where I'd peak at. But yeah,
PUBG.
like
Oh, go ahead. No, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, like that game was the first great battle royale for me. I mean, there was like H1Z1 before. There was like the battlegrounds on Arma 3, which is where the Player Unknown guy like originally brought it from. And like they were all good in their own way, but PUBG really brought a lot of great elements into the battle royale feature. Um, and I think it really kind of blazed the trail. I believe Fortnite might have already been in development when PUBG was released.
Yeah.
But I think PUBG and Fortnite really set the standard for what you can expect in terms of content out of the game. Obviously, PUBG wasn't smooth, but I thought they did both did a good job of like setting up the future of battle royales. And like you said, Warzone, it just blows all of them out of the water for me.
Like, and just to go back a little bit, you talked about how it's like it feels like Arma to me. Like that's like I loved Arma and I loved playing Arma. I love Arma, the DayZ mod, Arma 2, Arma 3 as well. I loved all of that. And so when I saw PUBG and I started playing, I'm like, damn, this does feel like literally I'm playing Arma. And I think they run off the Arma engine or something like that, or they are like taking like inspiration off the Arma feel. So yeah, I was like I could get into this, and then like it just felt like too clunky for me, and I just like like I said, I couldn't get into it, and that was like a big turnoff for me from the game. It's just like if it doesn't run well, if it doesn't feel good, if it's not smooth when I'm going in and out windows really fast. Like, if that's going to get me killed, I can't play it. Like, it's just going to bother me because I'm going to die over some BS and it's going to piss me off.
Yeah.
That's all the games I have on my list that I had to talk about.
The last thing I want to talk about is, and you can take some time to think about this, but I already got mine ready. Your top 3 favorite single-player games of all time, or top 5. We'll do top 5 because I actually have a few.
Okay, you go ahead and start. I'm gonna start writing some stuff down.
All right. My number 1 is Subnautica. Have you ever played or seen anybody play Subnautica?
I've seen gameplay of Subnautica. Never played it myself, but it's like interesting as hell.
Yeah, and I mean, it's just a perfect storm of everything I love in a game. So I love games like we talked about with like Minecraft or Terraria, or even a game like RuneScape. At the beginning of the game, you have complete freedom for what you want to do, where you want to go, how you want to progress, how fast you want to progress. There's nothing really guiding you right at the beginning. There is a story, and it's actually a really good one. But like for those of you who don't know, Subnautica is basically you were on a spaceship and it crash lands on this planet that's like entirely underwater. And so you're basically here with your life pod in like this shallow underwater area. There's like creatures, there's like coral, a bunch of different plants that you can harvest. And basically, you have to like gather up resources and then use your. It's like based in the future, so you have a futuristic tool which can like build basically an underwater habitat for you to survive in, and like progress and like you explore more. And there's like enemies as well and stuff. Like if you go into the deeps, there's like creatures that are gonna kill you. And it's like actually like pretty scary and similar to Amnesia, where I think it does a really good job of building atmosphere. I think the game actually does a good job of like building a healthy fear of like the deep water, and you like actually don't want to go there because you don't want to die and you don't want to see like what's gonna happen. And so just like the exploration of it, like the progression is really good. I love the graphics. Like I'm a swimmer. I love the water. I love like ocean. I love snorkeling. And so if you like underwater stuff like sea creatures, I think you really like Subnautica. Honestly, it's my favorite game of all time. It's not a super long game. It took me about 30 hours to beat the game and do everything that you really need to, but it is like just a ton of fun for me.
I was going to interject real quick. Some of those
Yeah.
bosses look insane.
Yeah, they're terrifying. And usually the first time you meet them is because they're eating you alive and you're dying.
Yeah, you
So,
just happen to be swimming around or some shit, right? And they just find you and
Yep.
you're just dead.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, just like the exploration of it, the story, it's just like super fun. And like, just the graphics, I think they did such a good job of like making different like zones of the map look so cool. So that's my clear number one. Um, let's see. I'm drawing a blank on what I had for number two. Yeah, I would honestly say number two, because these are just single player games that I'm looking at, is The Witcher 3. And just like I said, I haven't even beaten it yet, but honestly, it's got like so much good stuff going for it. And I love games where you have to make important decisions in the story, and they're actually like hard to make, where you're not just choosing between, oh, I want to be the good guy or oh, I want to be the bad guy. Like you're gonna be the good and the bad guy no matter what you choose. And I just love games like that. And the gameplay itself is really good in terms of like fighting monsters and enemies.
The
And
combat is really good.
Yeah, great combat,
Super smooth.
super smooth. Um, Number three, I would probably say Fallout New Vegas.
Mm.
I absolutely love like the story on that game and the options that you have. Um, I just love the quests and like the dialogue of the game. There's some of the funniest and most interesting like side characters and dialogue in that game. I absolutely love it. I love the world feel. I can still remember the first time I ever played it, and the first time I ever saw the New Vegas Strip in the distance, like glowing. Like it was just a magical feeling for me. But really, really love that game. All the DLC, fantastic. Um, Number three is probably Minecraft for me. I mean, this one it's also multiplayer now, but even just the single player experience, I put so many hours into it. It's hard for me to rate it any lower. And then there's a few that are, I'll say honorable mentions, but not in any particular order. Need for Speed Most Wanted, um, Halo Reach, love that game. Hitman Absolution, another great story game, super fun gameplay. Um, Metal Gear Solid 5, and yeah, I think that's it for my main favorite single player games of all time. Oh, another one. Actually, this one is probably above those honorable mentions. Half-Life 1.
I was gonna say, bro, like I know you were big into Half-Life, so I was
Yeah.
waiting if we were gonna talk about it or not, because Half-Life 2 was on in the top 20, I think, for best games of all time.
Yeah.
Actually, it's number 8. It's number 8. Excuse me.
Yeah, Half-Life 2 is super good. I mean, it's all the Half-Life games are super well reviewed. But Half-Life 1 is actually my favorite one. I played Half-Life 2 first, actually, and then played Half-Life 2 Episode 1 and Episode 2, which are both good. But I think Half-Life 2 is great. Half-Life 1 is, I would say, it's probably right behind Minecraft. It's probably my fourth favorite game of all time. Like, obviously not great graphics, but just, like, the world, the story, and, like, just the entire gameplay is just, like, so fun and so cool. So,
Okay, I came up with 5 on the spot, not in any particular order. So
Right.
we'll go. I forgot to mention this earlier when we were talking about Tycoon games. City Skylines. Now I fucking love this game, and Marina's in the chat right now. She's probably got a smile on her face and shit, because I'll be talking to her about this game a lot because I'm really into this game. And the thing is, I go through spells where I'm really into it, and then that's the type of game where I go to bed and I'm thinking about what I'm gonna do the next day and like how I can get better with this. Like it's like a game where I'm constantly thinking about it, and it's like, I didn't know about like, okay, so I recently found the subreddit, and when I say recently, I mean like in the last like year I found it, and like the build, I thought my builds were kind of decent. I gotta get blown out of the water by some of these guys. They're actually insane. Like, and I watch videos of like city planners playing this game, and it's like, wow, it makes me look like dog shit compared to these guys. Like, makes me feel bad about myself, and I'm like, I gotta step up my game. So, and then like that game also has like, it's also like a very big modding community, big like asset creation kind of community. So I really fuck with that. Like the game is like big, and like they're also like the Square, I think it's like Square Inc. or Square Enix or something. Is like
Square Enix, yeah.
Is the developer of that game. They're like all in for like the modding community. They like make videos like showcasing mods and stuff like that. So I'm all for that game. I love that game. And like I think I've never played Sim City, but I've seen gameplay of it and it's very similar. But I just love the simulation, like, and like the beautiful cities, like it just runs so good. Like for how like detailed it is, it's amazing. And I just love that game. I don't know if you can tell about the passion in my voice or not, but goddamn.
Yeah, no. Is that your number one?
I would say, no. Okay, of like recent games that I've played, I'd say it's probably my favorite single player game of like recent times. But I'm talking about now we're considering my whole life here now. Yeah. So I have Walking Dead, and I've already talked about it. Like it made me cry. It made me make some difficult decisions, and if a game can make me get emotional, that like leaves a mark on me, like so that one's on there for me. Detroit Become Human is also another game that I got for free that I played for on PS4, but loved the shit out of it. It was definitely another game where I had to like look up to make sure I'm not gonna fuck up on some missions so that nobody dies. I had to do that. I did no shame. Nobody died for me. I got the best ending. I wanted to see it. A Heavy Rain was also like the similar sort of situation. I got it for free. Picked it up, watched like YouTube videos of it like way back in the past, but then I wanted to play it myself, and like, but that one I did legit, and that was a good ass game. I loved the shit out of that. Good fucking story. And then this one might surprise you. But this was also before I could play GTA. What was the closest thing to GTA that Rockstar Games came out with that wasn't GTA? Bully Scholarship Edition. Let me tell you what. I wanted that for Christmas one year. Got that bitch. I had like the dodgeball. My parents got me they got me like the special edition. Came in like this tin can, right? It was like a tin can little case. And it gave me a dodgeball. So I had like the rubber dodgeball that came with it. Bro, it was sick. I was so excited. I got it for Christmas. I was like, this is all I wanted. Like, I was like so excited. So I loved the shit out of Bully. I played the crap out of it. And then like I played the Scholarship Edition when it came out. Like it got re-released on like for PC, and then I played it for that. So yeah, I just loved. It's so much good replayability on that game. 3 honorable mentions that I wrote down. Skyrim. Skyrim is one of the greatest single player games.
Yeah, that's one of my honorable mentions. I think I said it right.
I think you did too. I don't know if you did or not. But
I make sure I did if
I can't play it because I don't like RPG games that much. I get to about level 30 or 33, somewhere in that range, and I'm just like, all right, I'm bored. Like, I just can't. I literally just can't. But I still recognize for how good it is though. Like the environment that you put in, like it's just so good. It's so detailed, It's like one of those games that like it's just like so iconic. I had The Sims in here because I mean you got me talking. We were talking about this earlier, but like just the Sims franchise has been so good, and it's like such a good single player game. Like I hear that they're for Sims 5 they're trying to work on some multiplayer options, and I don't know what that would be like. I don't know if it's gonna be good. I'm interested to see what it's gonna be like, but just for single player games, I really like that. It's a good game where it's like I have to tell myself like, bro, you're gonna go to bed after this day. Like I'm about to go to work and I'm about to go to bed. Like you get in, I get into it. I don't know. I get into it, and it's like a simulation. I'm like, I want to keep going. I want to keep playing. I want to see where I can go. And then I also threw in Minecraft as well because I didn't even get a chance to talk about my history with Minecraft. But I didn't pick up Minecraft till it came to the Xbox, and so once I picked it up, I was immediately addicted to it. Like I was on that shit, and then like I was like watching YouTube videos about people, and like when it got released, it wasn't. When it got to the Xbox, it wasn't in the full development as it was. Like, it wasn't at the equal state as the PC.
Equivalent to what it was on PC.
Yeah, so they started from, like, 0.1 or whatever, and then they eventually upgraded it all the way up as much as they could. But, like, so, like, when it first came out, I was like, oh damn, I love this game. So I started watching YouTube videos and I was like, damn, this game is like so much different on PC. Like what the hell? And I literally, I think it was, I can't remember if it was you or if it was Nick. I remember somebody let me play on their Minecraft account. I think it must have been Nick. But like Nick let me play on his Minecraft account for one summer, and I just like, oh god, I was like never wanting to get off and never wanted to go back to like Xbox because I was on that PC and I was like, damn, this shit is dope. I was really into it, and yeah, man, that was just dope. So I gotta throw Minecraft in there.
Yeah.
Okay, one game I really wanted to mention really quickly. I don't know if we have like a lot left to talk about or not. But
I was just gonna say if there's any games that you want to mention that we haven't talked about.
This is the only one that I really have to mention. Portal 2. This one shocked me. This one was rated number 3 on the IGN top 10 games of all time. It's innovative. It was hard. It was fun. Is it number 3 though? I can't say it's number 3 of all time.
Yeah, it's the highest rated game on Steam in terms of like ratio of positive to negative. It's the highest of any game on Steam.
Really?
Yeah.
Have you ever played it?
I do. I've beaten both Portal 1 and Portal 2. I love both games. I think Portal 2 is definitely more fun, especially the co-op. It's super fun.
Co-op was great. That's how I played it. Me and my uncle picked it up and we just played it on the PS3. Like that was like one of the first couple games, and we just like we got so frustrated we just gave it up. We literally couldn't be beat it. There was a couple missions where it's just like, all right, fuck it, we're done. We're gonna put this shit away.
I played it with one of my friends, and dude, we would just troll each other endlessly, and we would get nothing done. But it was so fun. But yeah, I mean, I recognize the greatness of Portal 2. I mean, it's a relatively simple game, even just the concept of Portal.
Yeah.
But it really is really, really good. And it's not one of my favorite games, but I get why it has the highest rating on Steam. Is because it's hard to dislike the game. Like, even if you don't like puzzle games, it's still, like, a pretty good game, and it's still enjoyable. I'm not a big puzzle game guy at all, but I still really like the Portal games, so I recognize their greatness.
I do recognize the greatness, like you said, but like, yeah, I don't know if I'd consider it to be 3 on the top 10 of all time, to be honest with you. I think that's a little high, but that's just my opinion. But I still think it's great, and it was hella innovative for its time if you think about it, because it was like on the PS3.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. Yeah, and I mean, I'm sure a lot of people are gonna hear our lists and think that our choices suck, but I mean, that's the beauty of gaming preferences.
And
we
tastes.
all got different tastes, different preferences.
You know, we're just a bunch of Zoomers in here.
One game I really want to mention. This isn't the best game I've played by any sense of the matter. Jazzpunk. Have you ever played it?
I've seen videos. I've seen Donkey play it.
Dude, I got that game after I saw Donkey play it, and it is hands down the funniest game I've ever played. Like, I thought a Donkey's video was funny. It doesn't even do it justice. Like, it is not a lengthy game. You can beat it in like probably 2.5, 3 hours.
Mm-hmm.
But it is so funny, and it's not like jokes thrown in your face funny. It's just like so many subtle things that just make the game enjoyable, and it's just like hilarious. It's so random. Like, it's just a really, really good time. I'm pretty sure somebody just took a ton of LSD and had a fever dream and realized that this is the game that they're gonna make. But it really is a masterpiece. Like, there's not a whole lot of games I would consider to be a literal masterpiece. For me, if a game's a masterpiece, I can't say anything wrong about it. It might not be my favorite game, but I literally can't say anything bad about Jazzpunk. Like, it's a masterpiece.
So is there like voice acting in that, or like what? I'm just curious.
Yeah, there's some voice acting, but sometimes there's just like noises, and like sometimes there's dialogue, sometimes there's no dialogue. Like, it's just so funny. And basically the plot of it is you're like a secret agent sent on these like different missions, and like half the time you don't even know what your mission is.
Uh-huh.
You're just like being sent somewhere, and you're just going from like place to place. And I don't want to spoil too much. I mean, it's hard to spoil it, but like, there's just so many random things, and like, you run into an issue where it's like, oh, I gotta get around this obstacle, and the way you do it is just like the most convoluted way ever, and it's just a great game. Just a great game.
It's pretty cheap then too, right?
Yeah, I mean, wait for a sale and you can get it for $2.50. That's what I paid for it. So
Damn, 250.
yeah.
250 game right there. Okay, really quickly though, also Tetris was mentioned in the top 10, number 7. Tetris has got to be one of the goats as well.
Yeah, I mean it's a great game because it was like one of the first really popular games. I mean it's the third best selling game of all time behind Minecraft and GTA. And I like Tetris, but it's never a game that I'm gonna be craving. But I respect it because it was
That's for
the
sure.
first like super popular video game. And I don't love it, but you know, it's a good game. I respect its place in history.
I didn't really get into Tetris at all until Tetris with Friends came out, and then I'm a competitive bastard, so I'm like trying to kick ass and take names, especially all my friends too. Like
Yeah.
I had to figure out how to get good at it, and I did. I was in there, I was cooking, boy. Let me tell you what, boy. And then Tetris with Friends is kind of dead now, so R.I.P. But
Yeah.
I'm looking at my list here. I think that's all I really have here.
Yeah, I think that was good. We went for a long time there.
We did.
Yeah, that was a good one.
So hopefully everybody enjoyed. I hope we get to continue doing this.
Yeah, for sure. We should.
It was definitely a good time. I mean, I was looking forward to it, like I said. So
Yeah, and I mean, there's so many topics we can do about this. You know, things like movies, TV shows, things like food. Uh, I mean, the possibilities of this are really endless.
endless,
You know?
baby,
And
endless.
we could also go into more specifics. Like we talked a lot about Call of Duty, but like we could go into a specific video game franchise. And
Exactly.
talk about the best, or like a movie franchise. Like I'm a big Marvel movie guy. I haven't seen every Marvel movie, but I think if we did a podcast talking about like our favorite Marvel movies and what we like most about them, I think we got a lot of content here. So
We do. It's definitely like rich in like potential.
yeah,
Oh yeah, and
Yeah,
then
I
also I forgot to intro this, but we're thinking about having other people on this as well. So we might have like, like if we have like a certain topic, we might have like a guest appearance or something like that. But I'm sure that it's gonna be me and Drew holding this bitch down for sure.
yep.
So yeah, hopefully stay tuned for more. Thanks, Marina. She says, "Great job, guys. Appreciate it. Appreciate it." Yes to Marvel.
All right, I like it.
And for that one, I have to re-up because I have not. I'm way out of the game for Marvel.
Really?
Yeah, way out of the game. Way too out of the game to
Like-
be able to have a
like,
conversation.
Have you seen Endgame and?
I saw
Infinity War?
Endgame, but I hadn't seen any of the other ones. I saw like the first Avengers movie, and like I fell asleep halfway through it. And then I think the last like full individual superhero Marvel movie I watched was the Hulk back in like 2008 or whatever the fuck that
That's
was.
an old one, and like one of the worst in my opinion as well.
Yeah, exactly. But like the Hulk is like, okay, all right, we gotta slow down here. We're gonna get into other topics here.
Yeah.
But the Hulk is definitely top 3 for my favorite superheroes. So that's why I like that
I
one.
it as well. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, we definitely got a lot of good possibilities here. Do you have anything else to say before we close it out?
I just appreciate your time here, Drew. Looking
you
forward to
too.
being able to keep doing this. Good job. Fantastic.
Good job, team.
Round of applause for everybody here. All right, that's going to do it. I think that's the show.
All right.